Hi guys, welcome. We are continuing our series of videos on 12 days of magical holiday baking, where we're making a variety of family favorite recipes for the holidays, as well as some new ones we've not tried before but sound absolutely delicious. Today we are going to make cranberry nut bread, which is a family favorite and one, as you can see by this board, the draggled piece of paper, I have made for many years. So I'd like to welcome you to my backyard KY Homestead. My name is Kim. Let me show you what we need for this recipe and we'll get started. So I have preheated my oven to 350 degrees to get that started. I will also be using these half-size baking pans, which will spray with cooking spray as well as flour to make sure that the bread comes out very well. I'm making a double batch. A single recipe will make one loaf, but I will split that into two. So we'll make a double loaf or double batch, and I will end up with 4 half loaves, just because these are a little bit smaller. But if you use a 9x5 bread pan, this would be one recipe would be 1 loaf. So for this, we will need flour, all-purpose flour, sugar. I have cane sugar here, baking soda, baking powder. They are not the same thing. Fresh cranberries, neutral flavor oil. This is homemade vanilla. Yum, yum, yum. Eggs. We will also need some salt, some walnuts, some orange juice. And then we could use fresh orange and orange zest. I'm going to just use bottled orange juice. And I had some oranges that I freeze-dried. And I use this in the cranberry orange bread, and it is just spectacular. It infuses the orange flavor throughout the bread. So let's get this cleared up a little bit, and then we will start measuring out and putting things together. A single recipe calls for 2 cups of flour, so we're going to go ahead and do 4. I'm just going to use a spoon to level it off, or a knife, that's not a spoon. So that's 1. For 1 recipe, I need 3/4 of a cup of white sugar. So for 1 recipe, I need 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt. So this is a measuring spoon that has markings for 1 teaspoon as well as 1.5. Since I'm doubling it, I'm gonna do 1 full scoop. That'll give me 1.5 teaspoons of salt. Okay. We need 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder, which is this one. So we're gonna use this twice. And I'm going to use the lip of the can to level it off. Okay. Each recipe calls for 1 teaspoon of baking soda, so I'll switch to a 1 teaspoon spoon. And then I'm going to fill that. Again, use the box to level it off. And then I'm going to put 2 of those in. We're going to mix this up. Generally, when you're using, this one is a little different. Usually your sugars combined with your wet ingredients. But whenever you're using baking soda, salt, baking powder, flour, generally you're going to mix that up before you add your wet ingredients to avoid any of those really salty elements clumping. Because if you get a really big bite of salt or baking powder or soda, it's going to be horrible. Okay. So we're going to set this aside. We're going to get our cranberries and our nuts ready. We need 1 cup of chopped cranberries. So I'm going to start with just a little bit at a time. Go ahead and wash these actually. So I'm going to go ahead and get these cranberries washed up. Okay, with the cranberries, you're going to want to go through them as well and pull out anything that is squishy, soft or squishy. It looks like it's starting to go bad. It gets bloated feeling. And with this being a round rolly thing, I find it easiest if I take a serrated knife and then just cut them at least once, and then I can run my bigger blade over them. All right, let's give this a try and see if this will work. Does a really good job with onions, so let's see. Sweet! Loving it! Yes! I think we finished what's in the colander, and then we will be good to go. This recipe calls for half a cup of chopped nuts, and we need about 1 cup of chopped nuts. And these are partially chopped. I'm going to go ahead and make them just a little smaller. So we have a cup of walnuts and we have 2 cups of cranberries. And we're going to put both of these into our flour sugar mixture and stir them up to coating. So we got another bowl, 2 eggs. Now, if you're going to whisk up an egg, it's easiest if you go ahead and break the yolk. That way you're not chasing it all over the pan. Got a Danish dough whisk, which is really nice. So we got our 2 eggs. Alright, so you could use any kind of oil. I'm going to use avocado oil, but you could use vegetable oil, canola oil, light olive oil. Might change the flavor a little bit. Let's see, we're doing 4 tablespoons, so 2 per recipe. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to go ahead and use my cranberry measuring cup. And we need 1.5 cups, so 3/4 of a cup per recipe. So 1.5. So we're going to add 2 tablespoons of the freeze-dried orange powder. So now we are going to pour this into the flour. When you're stirring, you want to make sure that you're getting everything up from the bottom so that you don't have any flour clumps left on the bottom. And we're going to stir it just until everything is wet and combined. Alright, so let me show you how I'm going to set my pans up. Do 2 at a time so we don't get a mess everywhere. Going to go ahead and use a cooking spray. Spray all the way around. Making sure to get the corners, especially corner and up, and then all along the sides and the bottom. It's really a good idea whenever you're using any kind of cake or bread. This is a quick bread. Way too much. We're going to go ahead and flour that. So I'm going to put a little bit of flour in each one. Start more. And what I'm going to do is just tap it, and what I want see, I don't make a mess. What I want to do is have the loose flour go ahead and fall onto the other parts of the pan so that they stick all over the place. More flour on that side, but only as much flour as is needed will stick. And then we have a floured pan. So now we just need to evenly distribute this through the pans. So I'm going to start with 1 big scoop each. So I'm going to put this into the oven at 350 degrees. The full-size pan says 50 minutes until the toothpick comes out clean. So I'll be starting to look at these at about 40 minutes since they are about half the size. And just put a toothpick in to make sure that they are done. So with a toothpick, you put that in, comes out clean, and you're good to go. If it comes out battery or gooey, then you need to go ahead and cook it for a few more minutes and then test it again. So get these in the oven. So our bread has come out of the oven. It smells wonderful. It looks really, really good. And what you want to do is go ahead and let it set for about 10 minutes before you turn it out. And when you do that, just going to grab it. Pops right out. So you could wait maybe about 20 minutes and cut into this, or you could let it cool down completely, wrap it up in some foil, and then it'll stay fresh for a couple of days. You could also, once it's completely cool, wrap it in plastic and then in foil, put it in the freezer, and it heats up beautifully once you thaw it. So we're gonna go ahead and just open this one up so that you can see what it looks like. And for bread, you really do want to use a serrated knife. It cuts better. How beautiful that is. A little bit of butter on that, and it'll be absolutely glorious. This really is an amazing cranberry bread. As I said, I've made it for years, and it just never fails. So I will link this recipe below. Also, if you're interested in more holiday baking, be sure to check out these videos. And until the next time, I hope you have a wonderful day and happy holidays.